My name is Janae Strachey, and this is On Air with Heritage Action, a podcast built for conservatives. Twice a week, we break down in 5-ish minutes or less how you can get involved today in the fight for conservative values.
Hello, I'm Thad, and I'm filling in for Janae again. This week, the House and Senate returned to Washington and are looking to spend hundreds of billions of dollars, and industry groups are lined up at the trough in anticipation. The bill we're talking about today deals with combating the threat of China and building America's economic competitive edge. And in the current political climate, that's objectively great marketing. But the problem with great marketing is that it can be used to sell a false bill of goods, and that's exactly what's happening. The American people want to be tough on China, but what American companies are receiving is a bill with billions in corporate handouts, without guardrails to prevent our tax dollars from flowing into China. The interesting thing about this bill is that it's by no means a done deal. The House and Senate have passed separate versions of this combating China bill. Some of these provisions are similar and others very different. We did the homework and compared these two bills, which you can check out by clicking on the link in the description. If a final bill is going to be sent to President Biden's desk, then a compromise between the House and Senate must first be reached. And we all know how compromise goes over in this town. The first thing to watch for this week is the naming of conferees to a conference committee. Now, the Senate will name their conferees and the House will name theirs, and it's expected that nearly 100 members, some Republican, some Democrat, will be named. At the same time, the Senate and House will also vote on separate motions to instruct. Basically, the Senate will tell the senators headed into the committee, here's what we as a body think is most important. Here are the policies we want you to fight for in the final deal. And at the same time, the House will vote on their policy priorities that they want House members to advocate for. After that, the negotiating in the conference committee could take weeks, and a final deal may not be reached until June. And it's always possible that no deal is reached, but this would be publicly embarrassing for those pushing the bill. While the House passed their version of the bill on an almost party line vote with very little Republican input or support in the Senate, GOP votes were needed to clear the 60-vote threshold for a filibuster. So, who has to compromise the most in this fight? Perhaps the House, as the Senate's version of this bill would serve as the starting point for negotiations. Here's a quick breakdown of the House and Senate versions of this bill. The Senate bill, commonly referred to as USICA, is not conservative policy, but reads more like a compromise between Dems and moderate Republicans. It contains $52 billion in corporate welfare for the booming semiconductor industry. And yet, it fails to safeguard that money from flowing back to Beijing. The Senate version of the bill also has tens of billions of dollars in centralized industrial planning, similar to what China does. Instead of beating the Communist Party, this bill is joining them. And this funding will flow right to big education and be spent by left-wing administrators on their pet projects. But for conservatives, the House bill is far more partisan and even more left-wing. Commonly referred to as the Competes Act, it has the troublesome provisions from the Senate bill, but it also has a lot of progressive priorities pulled straight from Biden's failed Build Back Better bill. For instance, there's $10 billion for U.S. climate projects in other countries. At a time of record inflation, this bill will make things worse. Reagan once described inflation as too many dollars chasing too few things. And at $320 billion, the House bill puts a lot more dollars out into circulation. And those dollars will be chasing even fewer things because the bill encourages people to stay unemployed by turning the Trade Adjustment Assistance Program into another government welfare program. More dollars chasing fewer things. So, if the conference committee can reach a compromise agreement, will the final product look more like the Senate's USICA bill or the House's Competes bill? Well, any final deal will need to clear that 60-vote threshold in the Senate. So Senate Republicans have some power. This bill won't make it to the president's desk without them. So they can play tough and threaten to walk away from the negotiating table and leave Democrats in a lurch. But there are things in the Senate bill that moderate Republicans really want, and House progressives know this. So they can play tough too and threaten to walk away unless their left-wing priorities are included. After all, there are two chambers in Congress, and the Senate needs the House to pass this bill. So we're looking at a little game of congressional chicken here. Nothing is for certain. The ending to this drama is yet to be written. Lobbyists and special interest groups are pushing hard for a compromise. And the American people will also be active participants in this as well. As inflation worsens and voters become more upset, will senators and congressmen up for election actually balk at the billions in new spending? The longer that this drags on, the more uncertain a compromise could become. Reminder, these bills are meant to combat China and fail to do so. It's worth considering the policies that would actually address this issue. We'll cover that in a future episode, but for now, we've included another link in the description to a blog post with policy recommendations. Conservatives have winning ideas, and we're advocating for them. Thank you for listening.
That's it for another episode of On Air with Heritage Action. Thank you for tuning in. If you like what you heard in today's episode, please click the follow button. If you want to receive a text message each time a new episode airs, text podcast to 51776 and you'll never miss an episode. That's podcast to 51776. Hi, it's me again, and we need your help. If you like the insights and activist resources we are providing, please take 1 minute and help us spread the word. Share this episode with friends and family on social media, email, or text. We need everyone's help in the fight to hold Washington accountable. And don't forget, you are also able to subscribe and listen to episodes on your smartphone. Just open up your favorite podcast app and search for On Air with Heritage Action. Click subscribe and download episodes so you can take them with you on the go. It's the best way to make sure you never miss a thing. Thanks.